Hi, welcome back to another edition of Max and Nicky 1000th Time Reactions,
where we react to a song after listening to it for our 1000th time.
we release 3 videos a day,
Every day.
so make sure to hit that subscribe button
And turn on post notifications.
so you don't miss out on all this great content of ours.
That's right.
So what are we going to listen to right now, Max?
We're going to listen to Hotel California by the Eagles.
Now, we've listened to this song so many times growing up. I
Yes.
mean, thousands of times.
It was on the radio a lot.
It was always on the radio. I'm sure it is on the radio every day still.
That's right.
But for all intents and purposes, we're going to call it our 1000th time.
Sure. Before we move on to the song, though, as we normally do, we'd like to mention that we also have another channel called Max and Nicky, where we perform
Oldies tunes, jazz standards, and originals in that vein.
tunes as well. And we got comedy videos on there as well. But for right now, let's take a listen to Hotel California by the Eagles.
For our 1000th time.
Here we go.
Definitely not the radio edit.
On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of colitas rising up through the air. Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. There she stood in the doorway. Heard the mission bell, and I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven and this could be hell. Then she lit up a candle, and she showed me the way. There were voices down the corridor. I thought I heard them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Plenty of room at the Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here. Her mind is Tiffany twisted. She got the Mercedes Benz. She got a lot of pretty, pretty boys she calls friends. How they dance in the courtyard, sweet summer sweat. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. So I called up the captain, please bring me my wine. He said, we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. And still those voices are calling from far away. Wake you up in the middle of the night just to hear them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. They're living it up at the Hotel California. What a nice surprise, what a nice surprise. Bring your alibis. Mirrors on the ceiling, they pink champagne on ice. And she said, we are all just prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, they're gathered for the feast. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door.
Oh, wow.
Hotel
You know-
California by the Eagles.
It's interesting because we've heard this so many times on the radio. I never really gave it a true listen with my headphones on before.
Oh, I think I have, but
I
I will
probably
say
have.
we're listening to the 2013 remaster. I
so
should
everything
say.
sounds so clear.
Everything sounds very crisp and clear and well placed actually in the stereo spectrum.
Well, it's what's interesting right off the bat. There are a couple things right off the bat. One, it's really cool. It's kind of a pretty long fade out, and it ends on it fades out on the guitar solo, which is pretty cool.
Right, that's a neat, cool thing. You know, that's kind of makes me. If you listen to a previous video of ours where we react to Kate Bush's "Wuthering Heights," that kind of does the same kind of thing where the guitar solo it fades out on the guitar solo.
Well, also,
which is an interesting thing.
"Goodbye Stranger" by Supertramp also does that.
That does that too. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of sounds like maybe it's kind of a 70s thing.
Late 70s thing, yeah.
Or just 70 things.
70s.
I mean, this song, especially its duration, is a very, I would say, kind of would epitomize the, album-oriented rock of the time.
Obviously, I'm sure that they cut it down for radio play, right?
Well, I don't know. The radio at the time was very much geared towards long songs. They were down to do these kind of long songs.
The 70s were really the decade for artists, not just in music, but film and even in television to a degree. But because, really movies, the 70s is probably the best decade for film because these big, it seems like record companies and big production companies would allow artists more artistic freedom. It seems.
Well,
like,
there was obviously
movies,
a change. There was a revolution that happened in the 60s, and then and then the production companies were all changing. There was a lot of anyway, we don't want to go through the history.
Sure,
I mean, you can look it up yourself,
executives sought power back to take power back in the 80s, actually. And
sure. In
back.
fact, independent artists started becoming big in the late 70s, and then I think they started to monetize that more and kind of codify it into a more lucrative kind of capitalistic kind of endeavor, I guess, in the 80s. Although you still had a lot. I mean, independent artists, became even bigger in the 80s, I would say,
Sure, but
with
actually,
college radio becoming a really
that's
big
true,
thing.
but I would say in the 90s it really started hitting its stride.
Well, sure.
But anyway, we're veering off topic. Well, what I want to say about this song initially is, first of all, I said the guitar solo thing, but also the drums are very forward. They're placed so forward. The kick drum and the snare drum in particular are even, from what I was hearing, more forward in your face than the lead vocals. Now, I'm not sure if it was Don Henley or Glenn Frey who were singing the lead, or maybe it was somebody else. I think this is a Don Henley song, if I'm not mistaken. You want to look it up real quick?
Shall I check?
But it's interesting the way the stereo spectrum of the drums in general is really interesting on this remastered version. You hear the kick drum and the snare in the center, and then for a while I was thinking, is there no hi-hat at all? But the hi-hat is all the way to the right, actually. You hear it in your right ear. It's not even like partially, right of center or anything like that. It's all the way to the right. And I really started noticing it when I heard the other toms being hit. You like, oh, is it? Yeah, it is Don.
So yes, Don Henley singing lead vocals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now it's. I don't know if you heard what I was saying just now about.
I didn't.
The stereo spectrum of the drums, but listeners are going to hear me repeat it again. I was just saying that the kick drum and the snare drum seem right in the center, and for a while I didn't notice the hi hat. And I was like,
the hi-hat was over here, actually.
No, let me say. And then after I heard the toms come in, I was like, oh, the hi-hat is over here on my right ear.
No, I heard the hi-hat over here. I heard the crash over here, actually.
No, I definitely heard the hi-hat in the right ear.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I heard that it was a closed hi-hat. That's what I heard.
Oh, no. What you're hearing there is is the dampened electric guitar, I think the dampened string where they're going.
Oh, really? Is that?
That's what that was.
Oh, okay.
That's what
Well,
that was.
I mistook
because
that.
I heard the hi hat in the left ear rather.
Oh, interesting. Well, but it was interesting. The is really cool that the other parts of the drum kit, including the toms, they kind of ran the gamut, so to speak, of the whole stereo spectrum.
Yes,
you know?
I noticed that too. They really utilize the stereo
You
spectrum.
really hear it almost like in surround sound.
And actually,
know?
you hear there's an effect they use in the very beginning as well that you kind of hear come across as well.
Sure.
Which is interesting. I will say, you do have to admire the musicianship on these guys. Everything's very much in the pocket.
Sure. I mean, the bass is really good.
No, but it's everything is very precise and very together. I mean, I gotta say, and they're all. It seems like they're playing exactly what they intend to. You know, I think
Sure.
The solos even is what I mean.
Well, the solos, there's some harmonization going on with the solo.
Yeah, I was just reading about it. Apparently, Joe Walsh had come up with the da da do da do do da do do da da do da do do da do do da do do da do da, but Joe. So both he and
well, you don't have to look over there.
well, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure who is. Yeah, I think him and Don Felder both were playing. They harmonized it in the end.
It's.
I knew. See, I just looked. Glenn Frey's playing a 12-string.
Glenn Fry. It's Glenn Fry. That's how
Oh, is that how you pronounce it?
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I guess I've
That's
been
how you pronounce it.
mispronouncing it the whole time as Glenn Frey. But anyway,
I think at least
12-string. He's playing the
12-string
acoustic guitar, and I knew that it was 12-string when I heard it. I was like, oh, I can hear the.
Well, so that was what I was saying when we were reacting to the Smiths yesterday with "There Is Light and That Never Goes Out." I think he's playing a 12-string acoustic guitar.
Yeah. I think so. Well, again, the Smiths. We had reacted to a song.
Obviously, the Smiths
Yesterday
couldn't be
more
different
different from them, but
than-
they are both
than
using an
Hotel
acoustic.
California.
I believe Johnny Marr's using a 12-string on that, and
Well, which is when you get-
which is a they were influenced by jangle pop or
It's
jangly
interesting
pop.
when you hear 12-string guitar, you're thinking like Rickenbacker, which is that
Electric.
classic electric, guitar from the '60s, but a 12-string acoustic
George
guitar
Harrison
is
would
very,
use
very
that.
interesting to hear. Now, this song, another thing I noticed was it's full of guitars. There's so many guitars.
There's a
going
lot of
on at once.
guitars. Well,
not only do you have two 12-string acoustic guitarists going on,
you have Don Felder and Glenn Frey both doing 12-string
but
guitar.
you have two electric guitars. But I think they overdubbed more than just two electric guitars.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think
I'm sure.
from what I heard, there was electric guitar going that was doubled on each ear, and then there was probably Joe Walsh playing lead electric guitar in the middle.
Well, the solo, by the way, is they trade not just the arpeggios, but they trade it off.
Sure, no, but I really like the some of the guitar work that's going on in the center during the non-solo parts.
Oh yeah, right.
Just the regular
there was also
verses.
an interesting part.
It almost reminds me of. I mean, I know this is probably not going to relate to our core audience here, but it reminds me of some video game music, especially Mega Man.
Well, you
music.
don't know what the core audience might enjoy.
But I will say it reminds me of some Mega Man music in a good way, if you know what that's about.
Sure. I understand that. There was an interesting part, I think it was maybe around the middle of the song where there's a noticeable edit.
Oh yes, that was.
It's like all the music suddenly stops, and maybe it was intentional, almost like as if it was like the music stops, and then it begins.
It was a thing where it wasn't like the band stopped playing instantly. It was clear that there was an edit there.
Right.
And Max and I, you probably saw, we both turned to each other and we were like, "What was that?"
Right, and I wonder. Again, this is the 2013 remaster we're listening to. So, producers have more at their disposal nowadays to really get exactly what they want out of a mix. So it would be an interesting experiment to, perhaps you guys can do this to listen to the original way it was done versus this 2013 remaster that we just listened to, and see if you notice the differences and tell us what you like more, actually. I certainly think this mix everything is very clear in it. I gotta say, yeah, after listening to this song, we listened to it a lot, and I thought I'd be sick of this, to be honest, listening to it one more time.
Right, because
you know what?
it is on heavy rotation on classic rock stations.
Sure, but you know what? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
I did, yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot listening to it one more time.
Even on our 1,000th time listening, we still found some new things about
perhaps
it.
Maybe we also found it refreshing because this was a new mix we were listening. Well, it was a newer mix, 2013. I don't know if I've heard this mix before, actually.
Sure. And when we were driving the most was probably when we were in high school, right? When
Sure.
we listened to the classic
Our
rock
ears
stations.
have developed since then as well. And I will say...
But no, that what I'm saying is that was well before 2013. So we were definitely not listening to a remastered version, right?
Sure. But also, I will say that we're not listening with headphones as well.
Sure.
So
Although
that's
I will
another
say-
thing. It's a really good thing, to be listening. It's fun to listen to songs in the car. It's great. It's always a fun time. But I will say, when you're listening with headphones, you're kind of more actively listening to every part in the mix.
But you're also actively listening to the true intentions of the artist because, what is lost without listening to headphones is sort of that the panning effect that the artist
it's not
intends.
lost. It's just something that's not as perceived as well. There's always something that's happening, I think, when you're mixing something, some things that may not even be noticed readily by an audience. It's just kind of a subconscious thing,
Sure.
You're putting it in there because an audience will not be able to consciously pick up on it, but on a subconscious level, they probably are,
Anyway, I really enjoyed this listen of the song for our 1,000th time. I think that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed what you heard and saw today, please hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications to find out about more Max and Nicky reaction videos.
Please keep tuning in.